Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Drinks Glue, and tonight on RPG Limit Break, we have an Ultros League showcase from the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide community. But first, allow me the pleasure of introducing the commentators tonight. We have Dwyer, we have Fury Blizzard. Dwyer, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing really well. Excited to be able to showcase this UL8 with Mr. Fiery here. How you doing?
I'm doing well as well. Still trying to figure out how tonight is only Tuesday, but that's a different problem for another time. But I am ready to sit back, watch some Worlds Collide, commentate some Worlds Collide with you, and introduce people who haven't seen Worlds Collide before or may not know what Ultros League is to this wonderful randomizer.
So do you want me to do the honors of explaining what Ultros League is?
Go ahead.
Ultros League is our main event in Worlds Collide. It is our seasonal league tournament where it's divided up into 4 divisions where like skilled players are placed together between Mega Elixir, Tonic, and Potion. And each week they play a different seed, and there are demotions and promotions depending on the highest times. It is all done with a flag set that is decided each time before the league, and in this flag set, it is just our general one where we have unlock for Kefka's Tower at 6 characters, 9 espers, along with unlocking Skip, which means being able to go right to the Guardian Goddess statues, and the Guardian spot, for getting either 9 characters, 12 espers, or 22 checks.
Yeah, so this ends up being, for about an hour and a half seed, so they're pretty quick, all things considered, for an RPG randomizer. For those of you who aren't used to, those faster flags, these are pretty standard. No real surprises here, and we'll go through them as our racers do go through the seed tonight. Speaking of our racers, we got TacoMage and OneFreeFitz. We were talking about how Ultros League is divided into groups. These 2 racers were in the same Elixir group during Ultros League 7. They were both as part of Elixir A, which is right below Mega Elixir. TacoMage did win that group and is going to be moving to Mega Elixir, where OneFreeFitz got 3rd place, so more than likely going to stick around in Elixir, but we can consider this possibly, a little bit of a revenge match for OneFreeFitz, but we'll have to see how that goes. But what are you hoping for to see from both of these racers? Is there any particular, start that you want to see? Obviously, Drink School, our restreamer and tracker, is going to be hoping for as much Umaru as possible, but what are you hoping for?
Well, I'll go ahead and give Glue the Yeti start. But for me, I really like a Locke and Terra start. I really like the synergy between their checks, and they have a great equip pool as far as weapons goes. So if we find early offense, we are good for the rest of the seed, and it looks like we are off. That is the exact opposite of what I wanted.
No Yeti, but we do get Realm, who normally has the highest magic stat in the game, and Shadow, who's not too bad either, and Gogo, of course, with that Mimic command. For those of you who aren't familiar with Worlds Collide, if you're more familiar with other RPG randomizers, you may think of key items to get unlocked locations. In Worlds Collide, you can think of your characters as your key items. Your characters will tell you what checks you have available, and as the objectives say, in order to get to final Kefka to finally beat the clown himself, and after ascending that tower, you need 6 characters, 9 espers, and then various checks can either give you a character or an esper or a dead check item, which is generally pretty powerful. You can think of your elemental shields all the way up to something like an Illumina, which is the game's ultimate weapon if you can equip it. Characters will always be able to equip their vanilla weapons and armor with one exception, which is the ammo weapon if they have the Rage command. If you didn't notice, our commands are shuffled between characters as well, so Shadow does not have Throw, unfortunately. So it makes it a little bit interesting there. So, in terms of weapon pools, not the greatest weapon pools. Realm can use a Megas Rod for, you know, a +7 magic, and magic, I find, early game is king. Early, mid-game magic, at the end of the game, you probably want to start relying on physical offense. But you can see both our Razors right now sort of looting World of Balance Nourish, checking a couple shops, and are actually going to check their first, what we consider a free check here at Gal's Manor. And I believe that is a Sabin, is it not?
That is Sabin. Sabin's a really nice character. He's got 5 different checks. About half of them are actually pretty fast. Most of them are pretty fast, actually. Sabin is a good character. He generally has a higher vigor. So if he is able to equip a lot of the big swords in the game, he can usually be a pretty top-tier character. You know, we mentioned Gogo and the Mimic ability, and we also saw Thunder Rods for sale in Narsh while our people were doing their looting and shopping. Gogo's great whenever you can find those rods and can afford them, because he is able to mimic them, and you can essentially use the rods over and over again for free. So that is nothing to shake a big stick at, for sure. And it's a nice thing for starting and getting through some grind fights if we're able to afford those rods.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also saw, I believe, an earrings and a hero ring also as one of our relics that we're picking up looting, or at least on TacoMage side. As you were sort of alluding to, generally in a Worlds Collide seed, the 2 longest fights you're going to have are the statue fights at the end of the game when you have to divide your party up into 3 different lanes, and the very beginning. So the faster you can make one of those 2, if not both, the better off you are. It is really easy to underestimate how much time you are throwing away trying to get your party off of level 3. One of the things that we haven't also talked about as we started the seed is sort of what enemy levels are like in scaling. Various RPG randomizers handle it differently. Do you want to explain how enemies are scaled in Worlds Collide?
Absolutely. So for each character, Esper, or dragon you fight in our Ultros League flags, the enemies will go up, I believe it's 2 levels per. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And so right now, with both characters having, or with both runners having 4 characters, our enemy levels are at level 8, plus or minus 1 or 2 levels to avoid being able to abuse things like level 5 Doom or any of the level-based spells.
Yeah, that's important because things like HP scale linearly as well. So you would not want to be fighting, say, even at this point, a level 8 Doomgaze, you know, one of the bigger World of Ruin bosses. It's going to take you a while, even with quite a bit of offense, unless you have something like a Pearl Rod to break. You know, all their stats sort of scale with the level they're at. You can look up formulas on an algorithm FAQ. We don't need to go into that there. But yeah, a lot of the beginning early game is going to be looting. You get your money that way. And then buying some relics and buying what can get you through the very beginning. We saw a couple earrings purchased, and I believe TacoMage's side, OneFreeFitz also probably did that, which are really useful throughout the entire game, because what earrings do is give you a 25% straight damage boost on your magic, and you can stack them up to 50%. And those numbers do get quite big, and they do get imported to have that extra damage. So for me, one of my favorite relics are the earrings, and I really don't like to start a seed before I find them. Do you have a favorite relic to try to find early game?
Are we excluding the experience egg? Because that's going to be my go-to every time.
Excluding the experience egg, levels are king in Worlds Collide. They will always be. So excluding the earrings, or sorry, excluding the EXP eggs.
So I really like earrings. I also really like Atlas armlets, hyper wrists, or a rage ring. I like those boosts to vigor, and the rage ring also gives you a little bit of elemental protection. So a lot of the times if I see those early and I've got the spare cash, I might pick those up just to have later on in my back pocket if I need them.
Yeah, we see Fitz looks like ignoring the basement where TacoMage is looting this out. There were a couple of interesting things in the basement so far. We found a ribbon, which from a relic standpoint, It can be useful, but it also sells for a lot of money. The Genji glove, on the other hand, is a very nice find if you can find the weapons to go along with it. Although I may have spoken too fast, Fitz may just have wanted to go into World of Ruin Cell Figure and maybe looting the basement after checking what's in the overworld of World of Ruin. World of Cell Figure being one of those towns that the overworld chests do change between World of Balance and World of Ruin, so you can double loot it if you wanted to.
Did I just see Fitz pick up a True Knight as far as relics go?
I believe so.
True Knight's one of those relics that gets overlooked a lot. It allows a character that's equipped with it to take hits for a character that is in critical condition. So there are quite a few strats that will use a True Knight. I really like that play. Very cheap relic, gets a lot of mileage if you have the right setup for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't... Or, sorry, I was looking at TacoMage's screen here. We also do see one of the better helmets in the game, the Mega Stats, which give you a plus bonus on magic. So any increase to your raw stats, as you were saying with Vigor, magic is the same way. Very nice to have. We do see Atlas armlets being picked up for TacoMage, which also give you a 25% bonus to physical, except those do not stack. But again, very nice to have, you know, in the middle to the late game for sure. Hero rings, which we also do see, are an Atlas armlet and an earring all in one. So if you could get hero rings, those are really the true, you know, true best relic besides EXP eggs.
Oh yes. So we saw for the Zen Thief that it is not a glowing stone for sale. So it is what we consider a dead check, meaning it is not going to provide any progression. However, if it is a cheap enough item, it will be a high tier item, so it could be worth picking up as long as it doesn't cost too much. And yeah, that's too high, I think.
And we are going to get another free check over in TacoMage's side where we're going to the Collapsing House. And you saw the Imp Sprite, which means it's not a character. It could still be an Esper. That Aura Lens is also a nice pickup, whereas Fitz is going to the Opera House. Looks to be taking... you know, a chance at what would normally be the Dirt Dragon in vanilla. Oftentimes an aggressive play, although I think we got a Super Ball currently in the World of Balance Cell Figaro, so probably wanting to take a shot at this.
This is not what the one you wanted to see, though.
No.
Yep.
Blue Dragon, one of the nastier ones.
Yes, even at lower levels, it does a lot of nasty AoE elemental damage, as you saw with the Acid Rain, and a lot of water elemental attacks that just do a lot of damage early on.
Yep, and we see TacoMage going to Collapse House. There are two monsters in a box. The monsters in a box themselves, the locations are not randomized, but the enemy is randomized between the other monsters in a box. So, whereas in vanilla, these would be Night Stalkers. We saw Pugs, which you can win Minervas off of them, which give you nearly complete elemental nullification. And we saw Spectre, where if you have a Phoenix down or Revivify, you could use and get yourself a Hyperist that way. It feels like for me, I change whether or not I decide to open monsters in a box, dependent on seed. A lot of times I've sort of been skipping that more recently. But it's still not a bad idea. I actually think one of the better ones you can find early on are Night Stalkers, because you get a decent amount of EXP and a decent amount of, you know, magic points as well to learn spells.
Very true. We see another reset from Fitz. Unfortunately, only Realm survived thanks to some kind of elemental protection that she's got on. I didn't see what he put on. But because somebody else had already queued up that Super Ball, once they died, it has been used, so there was no chance of just Realm coming out of it. Not that he would probably want that anyway.
Yeah, I think there was an Ice Shield on Realm, and, you know, Rods are nice from the beginning. Rods are really nice in the beginning. They ignore any magic defense, so they're at a premium then. But for me, when I'm starting a seed, I want to figure out, well, how can I do the most damage as quickly as possible in the early game, where it's sort of lacking magic spells that you can get from elemental shields is certainly one of those ways. Never feels too great to start a seed and be like, I have no spells to learn whatsoever, and it just kind of feels like a slog at that point. So getting something like an ice shield, which we found, or flame shield or a thunder shield, something to teach you spells at the beginning is really nice. And I know we have that ice shield, so just gotta get 20 magic points, and then we suddenly get ice 2, and we have a realm who very much will love to cast ice 2. So I expect we'll see that before too long.
Speaking of spells, did you happen to see what was on that Esper that TacoMage got? He flipped through that really quick, and I was not able to get a good look at what spells could be learned from it.
I did not. I also didn't even see if there was a bonus attached to it. We might get a look here. Yeah, okay, that's why. Cure 3 and Meteor. Cure 3 is always sort of at a premium. Very nice. And then Meteor is a great AoE spell. If you run into certain bosses, that is actually pretty efficient, assuming the MP cost for it isn't too high. As part of a randomizer, MP cost is randomized in the game, and of course, the spells in which Espers teach you is randomized, and the learn rate as well. We get another Ice Shield in Imperial Camp. This is one of Sabin's checks, and a Telstar. So you can pick up a Green Beret, which is honestly not a bad defensive item, but probably not worth your time to take this fight.
Yeah, if anything, you were really probably wanting whatever those PM stalkers were, just to get the XP to get off that level 3 hump. Not looking to get a Green Beret at this time.
No, and there's another ability that we had, which was, Sketch, which if we find what people would consider one of the best monsters in a box to find, which is Katana Soul, right there, you sketch Katana Soul, you supposedly have a 50% chance to have Katana Soul Slayer Edge himself, which kills Katana Soul, and you get a free offering and a lot of money for it. Although, this is honestly a wonderful fight to find, especially with the Control ability. Control might be seen as one of the weaker commands in Worlds Collide, but it is honestly one of my favorite commands to have early game.
Well, just like that, it can really turn what is a difficult battle at level 3, can turn it around to make it pretty harmless. And since they were just doing magic damage and not taking it out of that control, he made quick work of it.
Yeah, and it would be able to attack itself for quite a lot of damage too if we ever decided to see that. We didn't have to. Meanwhile, the second and third fights in Imperial Camp are going to be the same, so unfortunately we're going to see Presenter a second time, speaking of monsters in a box enemies here. Hopefully we get through this fight without any incidents.
Yeah, the Presenter is kind of the fail snail of all of it. Doesn't give anything good, and really just kind of waste your time.
Yeah, if you have... Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, meanwhile, Fitz is taking a grind fight just to get off that level 3 hump.
Yeah, an interesting play when we have Imperial Camp. A lot of runners will decide to go Imperial Camp to see if they can get their levels at the same time as doing a check. Sometimes it can backfire. I wonder if it's a little bit hesitancy on after the 2 Blue Dragon wipes. And may it just be deciding to get some HP to immediately go back to that dragon. Looks like instead gonna go to one of Realm's checks in Owzer's here in Jador, where TacoMage did get another Esper for his troubles in the Imperial Camp Unicorn, and I assume we will see what that will teach us.
Unicorn is a good Esper, especially for Final Kefka. Whenever you can get trained, that'll mute or blind your guys. If you can have a ribbon with that, strength +2, that's really nice. It'll help take off those status effects, so that's a nice little thing to have just in case of you getting in trouble.
Yeah, there was that strength +2 Esper, and then there was also the Fire 3 spell, which I think TacoMage is more interested in at this point. Whereas we got actually one of, I find, a really nice fight to find in the beginning, Luridian ×6. Which also gives you quite a bit of EXP and magic as well.
And we have Narapa at Barren Falls. Narapa is an enemy that will have Reflect, So being able to cast that magic immediately isn't going to help except for that meteor. And she does kind of waste your time with casting Condemned on all of your party members. Not a hard boss at all, so this should go pretty quick.
Yeah, very low health. Generally seen at the end of Floating Continent. Meanwhile, we have a very interesting random encounter on Fitz's side. Generally pretty scary. We do have that control command, though.
Control and Sketch, so he could get those Doom Dragons to fall in one themselves.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to spam Super Balls using that Mimic command to do it twice and gets through it. Generally a very, very scary fight if you don't have immediate power, but Fitz deciding I'm going to use Super Balls to get through this, luckily does. Will counter basically any damage with Fallen One, which is what makes them so scary, especially because they can just immediately go into Fire 2, and generally you're not surviving having 1 HP and then taking immediate damage. But, as you were saying, Control and Sketch would be great ways to get around it, but so is just throwing balls, Super Balls, so...
Yep. Yep.
Just absolutely amazing EXP.
Yeah, definitely one of the best fights in the game for EXP. I think topped only by probably Dragons and the Gigantos fights. And in Owzer's Manor, we have Fish.
Yeah, Fish. Want to guess how long this is gonna take?
40 seconds.
Alright, to explain that, so Piranha fights, which you would normally see actually where TacoMage just left Barren Falls, where he found Narapa, is given per seed a random time value anywhere between 5 seconds and 55 seconds. That is how long it's going to take Rizapaz to show up here. Luckily, not quite that long this time, but it can sometimes feel like it's taking longer than 55 seconds, especially when it shows up in Kefka's tower, and you're just kind of like, can we please just get through this fight already? It can be, a little bit nerve-wracking to see it there, just because you're just like, well, everyone gets to deal with this, but what if my opponent is right in front of me or right behind me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We do see...
Oh, go ahead.
We're just talking over each other. We do see TacoMage going in the Phantom Train, getting a dead check that we can see right in the caboose of the train, an Atma weapon, which is interesting, but not quite as interesting to go for the entire check. And Bahamut, actually, from the Owzer's Mansion check, which is an interesting Esper. I think it's underutilized, right? We can indeed cast the Espers themselves in Worlds Collide. You very rarely see it, and with the exception of, say, Fenrir or Golem in the Kefka client, but Bahamut is a real nice spell or an Esper to cast because it is massive AoE damage. So I wonder if we're going to see Realm cast Bahamut at all.
I mean, I really kind of hope so. I am a big fan of taking advantage of what the Espers do. And like you said, it's kind of underutilized a lot, except for the three, well, Golem, Fenrir, and Phantom occasionally. Except for those, you really don't see it too often. So I'm actually really hoping that Fitz pulls out this Bahamut just for this Dragon Revenge.
And we do see TacoMage going to Mount Colt. It's interesting, he's been taking all the Sabin checks. More than likely doing that just in the way that the randomizer likes to work, is that your most recent character, in this case Sabin from one of Shadow's checks, will lead to your next character logically. So is really being thorough with Sabin here. I'm not sure we have any other Sabin checks left after this, actually.
No, I don't think so. So, which brings up the question, do you think we're going to be seeing a Floating Continent play pretty soon? For either runners?
I mean, we still have Esper Mountain. I think you go Esper Mountain first. Floating Continent's interesting because it is sort of two guaranteed pieces of progression up there out of 3 checks. So I actually kind of like it, but it does take a while because you have to go through the International Air Force first, or the Imperial Air Force, my bad,
I like the
Uh,
International Air Force, actually.
I know. Unfortunately,
ring
it's
to it.
Imperial. I know.
Yeah.
We do see Fitz finally taking out that dragon, though, getting a Thunder Shield for his troubles. Probably not the Illumina he was looking for.
No.
But managed to get it down.
Honestly, it might be at this point that was just pure revenge.
I can respect that.
Yeah, I can too. I think I'd be feeling it about that time.
Yeah, I cannot respect the 58,000 Zen Thief though.
No.
Also, these triplets, I generally don't respect them either.
No, we don't. We don't have the ways to deal with them yet. We don't have any instant death to take out Larry, and Mo's just going to be annoying throughout all this.
Yeah, luckily we did have ice too. Curly is weak to ice, the one on top, so getting rid of that one's first is important because then you don't get Delta attacked or Delta hit and petrified. I assume Fitz may be hoping for Larry to run away at this point, which would not,
Yeah.
you always hope to see it.
Yeah, it does happen over on TacoMage's screen. Oh, and Fitz gets a goddess. That's kind of gross.
Yeah, we do have that Thunder Shield we just got, and definitely one shield to put on during this fight. Goddess will use a variety of Thunder abilities, some Water abilities as well, and being able to absorb and nullify those is pretty nice. But we are going to see the tried and true strat of just break rods.
We also got to see something a little uncommon on TacoMage's side. Shadow pulls out a desperation attack to get rid of the last stooge. It only gets a Thunder Shield for the reward, so that is quite unfortunate.
Yeah,
but nice to see the desperation attack come out.
Yeah, 1 in 16 chance when you're at critical HP. Generally, you'll see it in Final Kefka when you have 1 HP and not want it. So it always feels a little bit nice when you actually get it, when it could do some use. Just an Esper on Fitz's side, but certainly an Esper that no one will reject, unless they generally will not. Golem, one of the 3 most, or, top 2 Esper in the game, I would say.
Absolutely. And it looks like our runners are kind of giving each other a long distance high five and trading checks with each other right now.
Yeah, so to go over or to recap what each runner has done or what we have left, as I was mentioning before, characters are really your key items in this game because they're what allow you to do more checks. We've gone through all of Sabin's checks on TacoMage's side. We know what both of Realm's checks give on Fitz's side. We've seen one of Shadow's checks, so we still have 4 more left, 3 of them that can give characters, those being the Cave on the Veldt and the Floating Continent has 2 character spots up there. We also have Go-Go Zone Eater Cave that I personally like to forget exists. And we have the infamous Kefka Narsh fight that is open immediately in the seed. Where it always feels a little bit weird when that's your character progression, you have to go there, but you don't generally feel quite as bad because, well, almost nobody is going to check that early either unless they have a character Mog and walk right by it. So, I don't know, where do you think our 5th character is hiding?
Well, I'm not going to be mean and say Go-Go's check because that's really annoying to do. But I will be mean and say I want it to be Kefka at Narsh.
Ooh.
I do.
You know what? I want to see a Kefka at Narsh, and I want to see Guardian there. Let's go real mean.
And how about the reward being Mog, so that you have to walk back down and trigger Lone Wolf and walk right back up?
That is beautiful.
I know, right?
And then we'll throw our lovely restreamer and tracker a bone, and we'll put Umaro at Lone Wolf.
So then we'll get a 3rd climb up that mountain.
Yes. And of course, if we ended up getting Umaro, we would immediately see whether or not there's a character while climbing up to Kefka at Narsh. So we would know ahead of time whether or not we really want to climb that mountain a 3rd time. We do see TacoMage, having a little bit of struggle with this goddess fight. Need to throw an elixir, I think, maybe for MP as well.
Well, I mean, this is a final area boss, so she is nasty, and I'm not sure. I know he did get a Thunder Shield because of that Mount Colts check, but I'm not sure if he's got it on. He may have it on one of the dead characters.
I don't know where that Thunder Shield is on. I would be surprised if it was on one of the dead characters because they somehow got dead. And when you can nullify most of the attacks, it's impressive. It definitely could be possible. We'll see. If their Shadow has a Thunder Shield on, yeah, okay. Because we saw that Shadow learn Bolt too, so almost certainly had the Thunder Shield.
There we go, there we go. We're getting called out in chat.
We're not being mean to the... I see that. I don't think we're being mean to the runners. Unless you're saying the whole, what we're hoping the progression's going to be, in which case, yeah, I believe so. These two racers are some of the best in the game in the randomizer community, so, you can't have it completely straightforward. And there's something to be learned about having Guardian at Kefka at Narsh with only 3 characters. Sometimes it's, you have to get a little bit lucky. I don't think that's going to be the case given the power that we have this seed, but sometimes that's the case.
And sometimes you just have to break a Thunder Shield and hope for the best.
Speaking of the Esper cast, we did get a Carbuncle coming out on Fitz's side to handle the triplet attacks, which is a nice strategy. They can occasionally use non-reflectables like Bolt Edge, but overall, those should get reflected. And we do see a Scimitar attack coming out of Sabin, getting that instant kill on Larry.
Oh, that is beautiful. You love to see that when those proc.
Yes, and now we got one more triplet to deal with. Being a little bit rude with those Bolt Edges. TacoMage is going to take a look at this monster in a box here. Is it Katana Soul? No.
It is the bad bug.
You hear that music, right? You hear that boss theme, and you're like, yes, I found Katana Soul. And then it turns out it's that. And you're just like, why would I waste...
Yeah.
See, there's something about the presenter, though. So TacoMage does have X-Zone. So if the presenter did show up in a monster in a box, you could legitimately think about, do I want to X-Zone presenter and get 2 claws out of it and sell that for like 20-some-odd thousand? We do see that the Velt Cave was a random sprite. It is one of those few checks in the game that if it is an Esper, it actually shows you the Esper sprite. And of course, the character would show you the character sprite, so we know that check is dead. It will not give us any sort of progression. So rather than fighting the boss, TacoMage is just going to say, I'm going to reset, and we're going to ignore that check existed.
Yep. As you do, because it would just be a waste of time.
Yeah. I mean... unless you wanted to visit... Oh, what does the pug give if you bother to fight him? A very powerful weapon known as a Gradius that sells for about 3,000. It is absolutely not worth it. Almost every attack you do to Master Pug is going to be countered with a Step Mine, which doesn't do all that much damage. It's based on how many steps you've taken. But it just is a massive waste of time. There is the Triplet Pug fight that we actually saw in Imperial Camp. And that can give Minervas, which is a much better reward. We do see a Floating Continent play, though, from Fitz. Do you like this play?
I do like this play. So, I have this really weird range of what time it is where I like doing the Floating Continent. If it is between like 20 minutes and 40 minutes, I'm okay. I don't want to do it before then because I'm probably too weak, and I don't want to do it after then because I feel like I'm wasting time and I feel really bad.
Yeah.
So, sweet spot right now.
The interesting thing about him going up to Flooding Continent is, as I was saying before, you have to take a few fights before 2 boss fights. You gotta heal between boss fight 1 and 2. But it can... We've all encountered this, where you get to that second boss fight, and it just absolutely ruins your day. Sometimes it ruins your day by being a Magi Master. Sometimes it ruins your day because it's Doomgaze and decides to L5 Doom your party, and you look at your levels and you say, well. And other times, it can definitely give you an advantage. We get a lot of GP from these Ursus, though. So it's pretty nice. We're gonna see what these 2 boss fights are gonna be for us today or tonight. The first spot, which is generally Ultros 4, is Doom!
Oh, well, it was close to Doomgaze. But this North Cross might be nasty. North Cross has a chance to freeze your party if it hits. Thankfully, only 1 got frozen. And here's your Bahamut play.
Yeah, it's interesting to figure out when you want to use this Bahamut, though. So Doom will absorb Ice. And then once he's about half HP done, we'll go into a second phase where he'll cast basically Image Status on himself and a Reflex Status. And so it's interesting to me to use the Bahamut Esper before it gets to the second phase, because now you have to figure out how are you going to damage Doom. In this case, Fitz is going to say Meteor. Personally, I think I probably would have done it the other way around, because I find the second phase a lot more annoying. But at the same time, getting into this phase means you're not dealing with Northern Cross. So,
For
advantages.
sure. I'm actually surprised you didn't just keep Gogo mimicking the summon.
I think because... I think Fitz saw the magic damage that was coming out of Gogo at like 2,000, and was like, one of the big problems with Bahamut and a lot of the Espers is the animation time it takes to cast. I think if we were able to shorten the Esper animation time, they would be a lot more useful or a lot more used. But overall, they take a while.
That is fair. And this is why you are an Elixir and Mega Elixir runner.
Soon now, it's because I'm just lazy. I don't want to watch the animations all the time. But we got our second fight here. It's Hideout in the Hydanites. A bit more annoying in this flag set than a flag set that we've been featuring recently. I know you're really involved in some of our community events, and we have, we give a little bit of shout out while we see the 2 fights going on here. If you wanted to plug some certain events that are ongoing, they could watch either through our Discord or through probably our Twitch channel in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, now that is exciting. Yes, right now we are in the middle of our Moogle Cup, which is our beginners tournament. It is a slightly easier flag set, so undead bosses like this Hydon that was right here can be killed with a Revivify or a Phoenix Down. Scaling is a little friendlier, as dragons are not put in there. You level faster, your stats are a little bit higher. Magic is, like Ultima, is original cost, plus or minus some. So cheap Ultima, Super Balls, Experience Eggs, all the really good stuff can be bought in shops. Cheaper rods and shields. But enough about the flag set. What it really is, it's a really great way for anybody wanting to learn Worlds Collide to be able to play with other beginners and get one-on-one help with your mentor. Your mentor is there kind of in your back pocket to help you during the races. So it's a really good way to kind of get to know some of the veteran players in the community, and also just have a great time racing, learning race rooms, learning the randomizer, and everybody is so friendly and eager to help. A lot of us will quite literally internet fight each other just to answer questions. So if you ever wanted to try out Worlds Collide, please join the Discord. We will all be ready to help. We have mentoring sessions that you can sign up for either VOD reviews or live mentoring, along with doing the Moogle Cup. So please, if you've ever had any interest, stop on by, say hi. We love people that say hi.
Yeah, I know we're starting campfire races, so if you wanted to race this flag set in sort of a friendly manner, our Discord would be a way to do that, as we are kicking those off for Ultros League 8, I believe actually tonight as well. So you can get some advice, you can see what other players are also doing, and just, have a chill time. I've done a couple of those campfire races, and it's always nice just to chat. Even if it's not specifically about the game, it's just a great way to get involved with the community. So I definitely encourage anyone looking to pick up Worlds Collide to check that out for sure. I guess, like you were saying, we're in the middle of a Moogle Cup league right now, but I assume those will be, quick. Basically, they start up when we get enough new players, and it's been pretty quick on the turnaround, so I don't expect it to take much longer to get another one going.
Oh, and I can't wait. I have loved being involved. I'm a mentor myself, as are you, I believe.
Yes.
And so is TacoMage and Fitz, the two runners tonight. So we have a lot of experience working with the newer players, and it's kind of something that's near and dear to my heart. I absolutely love it. I myself am in Tonic League for Ultros League. And while I'm not comfortable mentoring somebody, say like you, Fiery, I will happily share game knowledge and any tips or tricks with anybody learning to or wanting to learn the randomizer.
Yeah, and even as a mentor, you always will pick up some interesting new strats and from even the people you are mentoring, just simply because they have a different way of looking at things. I know, as someone who has, been around a couple randomizer communities, you can get really set in a way of thinking that you just want to get some a different way of thinking, which can oftentimes be better in certain situations, and it's interesting to look at that aspect as well. So not only are we teaching newer players, but they're occasionally teaching us something about the game as well, or sort of their strats, and we'll pick up on that. And I like to say Worlds Collide is definitely one of those communities that very much likes to share knowledge, which is not always true, but definitely true for Worlds Collide. We do
Speaking of...
Go ahead.
We're going to keep doing that.
We're going to keep on doing that.
Yes, we are. We just saw double statue fights. We saw Doom on one screen, and we're seeing Spicy Chicken on the other. So we got all three of the statue fights out of the way before KT, so that's got to feel pretty good. All right, now go.
Well, I mean, that's what I was going to say, too. So you beat me to it at that point.
Right, mine.
Pulty Spicy Chicken is down for Fitz. It was interesting because he was in a scary position before he took the monster in a box and floating continent. I noticed Fitz's levels were all level 30, which even if I had already seen probably, the monsters in a box that I've wanted, I would be doing that entire floating continent walk thinking about, is this Doom Case? Am I about to walk and then instantly have to reset at the beginning of floating continent again? Luckily, A, got off of level 30, and B, was not Doomgaze. Unfortunately, Poltergeist is not really much easier, but we were able to get through that. And also, just a great boss to get out of the way. Can't complain about that.
Yeah, we only have a couple of the scary ones left to possibly see in KT. That's if we don't run into them beforehand. We have Guardian or Magimaster or Doomgaze. I also personally don't really like running into Inferno or Air Force while we're there. What's your least favorite?
My least favorite, I would say Guardian for sure is my absolute one boss I hate seeing in Kefka's Tower. Guardian without having a full party to split his damage at generally endgame scaling, which in Ultros League, we were talking about scaling earlier being 2 times your character Esper and Dragon count, so for Fitz right now with 11 would be level 22 enemies, and for TacoMage would be level 20 plus 2 to -1. There's our Air Force, by the way. But without that split damage that you get from having a full party, Guardian can just decide to shrapnel you and you take 3,000 damage and you're just dead. So for bosses, I never want to see in Kefka's Tower. That is my number one.
Yep, I definitely get this. Now on TacoMage, we're actually seeing him come down to take that safety save, which is a good play because he doesn't know what's coming up. It could very well be a Doom Gaze for him. And I didn't get a look at his levels, but if he's at that level 5, that is a really smart play.
Yeah, I
because...
believe it was 28.
Okay, yeah. Still, though, you don't know what's coming up, so sometimes that is a good play to have.
And we see that Floating Continent was just a bunch of Espers, which, you know, good because we need Espers to beat to finish the game, bad because, well, we're still missing 2 characters. And at this point, we only have 2 spots left that can give us a character. Fitz doesn't know that, but our knowledge here as viewers, we know it's either going to be that infamous Zone Eater, Go-Go's Cave, or Kefka at Narsh. If not both.
Come on, Mog at Kefka at Narsh. Make my dreams come true.
This is always the moment where you're sort of panicking as a racer, because Go-Go's Cave, I find, is very divisive. Some racers will do it immediately, no matter what. They will go find warp stones, or even without warp stones, go to Go-Go's Cave. And it's like, if that's the answer to the seed, well, I'm just like 20 minutes behind. But we do get a Zen Thief purchase. I would say, you know, there are not many things that are worth the 58,000 GP and the check. That is one of those that is.
Oh, I mean, you fought those Ursas on the Floating Continent check, so the seed was throwing money at you. You might as well throw it back.
Yeah, and we're gonna throw that back with the best sword in the game, and we actually had people that can equip it. The Illumina, the ultimate lightsaber in Worlds Collide. The weapon you really only see if you probably decided, I'm going to bet this Ragnarok in the Colosseum and see what it gives. In SNES, you were probably unlikely to do that. But you know, it's one of those interesting weapons because people will say it's the second best shield in the game.
That's actually really true. It has some great physical and magic evade, I believe. I never actually saw Illumina whenever I played the vanilla game growing up. Did not even know it existed until I was much older.
I will say the first time I ever played Final Fantasy VI, growing up, I did not get Shadow either. How was I supposed to know that I was supposed to wait at the end of Floating Continent? Thankfully, in Worlds Collide, there's no... Well, you can enable timers, but you don't have to wait the 5 minutes just standing there waiting to get that check.
Oh man, that was such a feel-bad moment as a little kid, realizing that you killed Shadow.
I mean, I'll give a spoiler to a... nearly 30-year-old game at this point, if not 30. It's not quite 30 years old, right?
I think it was 94.
Oh, maybe it is 30. Okay, well, Shadow does die at the end of the game too, so either way. But yeah, we're seeing Fitz doing what TacoMage did at the beginning of the Seed Imperial Camp, and TacoMage is going to be walking over to Air Force, is going to see, nope, this is just your 8th Esper. Fitz is going to get his 8th Esper, and we're going to see, does one of our racers go to Kefka Narsh and the other one go to Go-Go's Cave, or what are we doing?
Oh, please let them separate. Please let there be the diversion there, because I want to see both.
Well, we're gonna see it from Fitz first, but not by much. This also gives us a really good look at who is, how close our racers are. You can definitely make an argument that Fitz is slightly ahead, having taken one dragon as well, so slightly ahead on levels, although at this point probably doesn't matter all too much. Yeah, practically even, I would say. So it's going to come down a little bit to where do they go to get character number 5? Fitz does have to check the back of Phantom Train, is going to see that this is just an Atma weapon, and I assume we'll immediately see a reset.
All right, so TacoMage is about to get his eighth, ninth Esper?
8th.
Eighth. Oh yeah, tracker already went up. Let's see where he goes.
Looks like a Kefka and Ursh
Oh,
play.
he's going there.
And this makes sense. You can peek Kefka and Ursh, and by peek, I mean you can see the sprite and see if it's a character, and if it's not, you can just reset out. Realistically, you can also just take it. It looks like TacoMage is going to heal up at the pot in the beginner's house. I imagine we'll see a save. Fitz is going to check Felt Cave, is also see that that's going to be dead, and will have a choice to make himself. And given that Fitz is in World of Ruin, I expect Fitz to actually go Zone Eater instead.
Oh, I'm gonna get my wish. I get to see both, hopefully.
But we're gonna see from TacoMage first whether or not Kefka and Narsh is indeed hiding our 5th character. Now, of course, they both can be hiding a character. You kind of hope that's the case too, otherwise the seed has gone very linear, which is always a little unfortunate as a racer and as a viewer, just to get those sort of seeds where you have one valid path. So I kind of hope they both have characters and they're both drastically different. So let's find out. We're going to walk up the screen and we're going to see it is dead. That is not a character at Kefka and Narsh. Our answer is indeed in Go-Go's Cave. The RNG Fest will begin.
So, explain why Go-Go's Cave is so bad.
So there are various reasons why Go-Go Cave is can be considered a bad check for several of the community. It is a roughly 50% chance of whether or not Zone Eater even engulfs you to begin with, which is required to even get into the cave. That's the easy part. The difficult part I always find is dealing with the conductors that are blocking your way through Go-Go's Cave. And sometimes they really do not want you to go through. We do see an immediate engulf from Fitz. We're going to see if TacoMage is just as lucky or if we're going to start seeing demis. Nope. But luckily for us, both racers get that immediate engulf. And now we just have to get through some green conductors here.
We lovingly like to call them the bridge trolls because they are quite trolly. And we're going to see a pause buffer. There we go.
Very nice. Very nice showing of the pause buffer strats. TacoMage, unfortunately, getting on the other side of the conductor and falling down the hole. Sometimes you're like, you know, if I'm going to fall down this hole, can it be like 2 EXP eggs down here? Unfortunately, not 2 EXP eggs. Yes, Jaser, I have once been in this check for 12 minutes because the conductor refused to go between right of the bridge and just stayed in a 3-tile walk. And it was absolutely obnoxious. And it's
that
why
is disgusting. Yep. I actually don't like this part of the check that TacoMage is in. If you are just 1 pixel off of this ceiling, you are going to get squished, and I will somehow find that 1 pixel 50% of the time.
Yeah, we do see it's a Terra here, which actually gives us quite a few options of where our 6th character can be. We do need 6 characters to beat the seed. On the collapsing ceiling screen, what is maybe confusing to newer players or people who aren't aware of it, it will look at your active inputs. So if you're inputting down when the ceiling is actually falling down, you will get squished regardless of whether or not you're in a safe tile.
I did not know that. See, I learn something new every day about this game.
Yeah, it was always very interesting when you are standing in a safe tile and you get the game over screen anyways. It's generally because you're inputting and the game is looking for that active input.
Oh my gosh, that explains so much. Mind blown.
Yeah, so we see Terra gives us quite a few checks. We have Imperial Base here, which gives us a fair number of checks immediately in terms of chess. We see TacoMage going here. At this stage of the game, are you walking through the entirety of Sealed Gate to get to the check at the end, or are you just possibly looting the Imperial base and then going somewhere else?
Well, that's a tough one. If you don't stop to loot in the sealed gate, it's not really that long of a check. But then you also have things like Mobliz that's peekable, or the Welt Gate, which is just a really quick walk and a really quick fight usually. That's a tough one. I don't like getting Terra late just for that reason.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we can get something a little bit better from this Imperial base. It's I would say that was one of the worst Imperial bases I have seen in quite a while. I think there was an elixir in there, and then nothing worth more than 400 GP.
Yeah, definitely not worth letting the loot goblin out for that one.
Fitz is instead going to nourish that wealth check. I am going to assume that Fitz is deciding to do this because has not checked Kefka Narsh, and is basically saying, I have two chances of a character here, either at the Welk spot, which was not a character, we saw that from the sprite walking out, and then possibly Kefka Narsh, whereas TacoMage knows Kefka Narsh is not a character, and so is probably less incentivized to check Welk.
That's true. I hadn't really thought about that on TacoMage's side. So yeah, more than likely he's not going to check Welk. We're probably not going to see Elite River play either, unless that is somehow the answer. And if that's the answer, oh, I will be so happy and sad at the same time.
Yes, I would be sad that I am not playing the Siege, is actually the answer there. We do see Shad, our lovely painting demon. Thankfully, in Worlds Collide, there are a number of things that have been changed behavior from vanilla through mostly the flag set design. Charnook here will spend more time in demon form than she does in vanilla. Of course, not wanting to attack while in the sort of angel form. Fitz getting through that with a Pearl proc with the Illumina. Meanwhile, TacoMage does find our sixth character. It is Edgar. How do you feel about that?
Ooh. Well, I don't know. I mean, Edgar has that nice free check on the throne, but characters often lead to more characters. So, that's a tough one, because his other checks in the World of Ruin, so South Figaro Castle Engine Room and Ancient Castle, those are both not fun this late in the game. Neither one of them are something that I'd want to do. Honestly, I might actually just go ahead and chase Terra checks at this point.
And actually, it looks like that is what TacoMage is doing here. Is going to check this Welk check. Now, Glue, I don't know whether or not you can tell us how many checks TacoMage and Fitz are at right now. I have not been keeping track. But it is also towards the end game here where we're, that question of, am I gonna go for Kefka Tower skip or not? Generally, we'll save 6 minutes or so because you don't have to fight the Inferno spot or walk the tower completely. But sometimes it is not worth it just based on the amount of time. So the question is, where are we in terms of number of checks?
This will be an interesting thing because with him finding that Edgar and TacoMage not having done Opera Dragon yet, I mean, that's two really quick checks on the way to the tower if he was that close to skip.
Good question, my friends. Fitz has 14 checks and TacoMage has 12, so they're not close to 22 at all.
Not even close. I am surprised. It feels like we got several dead checks by realizing now that we basically could have reset out of most of them. But yeah, TacoMage would still have the Illumina to pick up from the Zen Thief and the Opera House Dragon, but yeah, definitely a little too far away to go and even think about skip. There just really isn't any, especially with Edgar. Edgar just has those slow checks after checking his throne in World of Balance. But I believe this is going to give TacoMage his unlock, and then Fitz is going to get their unlock pretty much, simultaneously.
So now we just get to see what's at the Inferno spot and at the guardian spot and the statue spot. And that is really going to probably be the only difference in time, is whether or not those are going to be really annoying fights or really easy fights.
Yeah, and to me, it's one of the biggest time variances in a World Collide seed between racers. It is essentially, how do you decide to split up your party and what bosses are where? So you're going to see TacoMage probably very quickly just enter the tower. The team that he sends on the right side of the tower is going to fight, well, after, I guess, doing Opera House Dragon first, is going to fight 3 bosses, is going to fight the Inferno spot, is going to fight the Guardian spot, and is going to fight the Poltergeist spot, whereas the parties on the left and the middle are only going to fight 1 statue boss. Sometimes the going strat is to have your biggest party or strongest party going down the middle lane, and then have weaker parties on the left and right, or left and middle in this case. That can sometimes backfire if you don't have a proper setup. We've seen several of our worst bosses already that you would see. Like you said, we've seen all 3 statue bosses already, but we still haven't seen Guardian, we still haven't seen Magi Master, we still haven't seen Doomgaze, and those are terrifying bosses to find with the wrong party. So we're gonna see just how generous of a roll this seed was.
Well, let's talk about offense between our 2 runners. They have pretty much the same espers because the seed has required them to do the same checks. There's no difference as far as espers go, which means there's no difference as far as magic goes. The one big difference is Fitz got that Illumina from the Zen Thief. There's several strength espers out there. Do you think that amount of damage right there is going to give him a little bit of an edge?
I think there is no doubt that having Illumina, even if it's not about damage, just the stats themselves is a pretty big edge. I don't know I believe Shadow was the one wielding the Illumina. I don't know what Shadow's Vigor was. Physical attack is always going to be faster than magic. Or I shouldn't say always at the end game, but is generally faster. We are actually seeing Fitz not going through the tower normally, is doing a play that normally you associate with center tower, and is going up the middle first, is probably looking to take on the Atma spot and the dragon in the middle, but will not get skipped through this if the check count is correct. Why do you think Fitz is doing this?
Well, I would imagine he might be feeling a little low on the offense side because we've only found 1 big stick. So I'm gonna guess he's taking these 2 fights for the items and probably the extra experience.
We do see what is sometimes can be a very annoying boss. Not so in this case. Physical offense here again leads today. Rexel has very high magic defense. But Illumina doesn't really care about that. The issue is if you get an Illumina proc, it will heal Rexel. Luckily, it is only a 1/4 chance to proc with the Illumina. So don't blame me when the Illumina procs like 6 times in a row and just waste your time. That's not my fault. But we do see that Rexel go very quickly, only taking actions with Shadow and Terra with that jump command for going all of her damage, which is a very nice play to only attack with the people who are really going to make a big difference. And gets a flame shield for the troubles. Not the stick we were looking for, but more elemental protection.
So 2 things.
Yes.
1, now I'm gonna ping you every time I get an Illumina proc because it's your fault.
Okay.
And 2, it looks like TacoMage is just gonna run the tower. He's just gonna send it. So this might give him a little bit of time back, whereas Fitz has that Illumina, TacoMage just has the time.
Yeah, and it actually Fitz deciding only to take the Atma spot is now going to go ahead and prepare their teams for the full-on climb. The party composition is so huge for Kefka's tower. And there is a luck component there as well. But you can see a drastic difference. If there is a Magi Master waiting, the difference between having the right team and the wrong team against Magi Master is, can be tens of minutes, even at the level these runners are at. It makes such a huge difference. We do see TacoMage, despite splitting their party up, is taking a couple dragons just for those levels, running into Storm Dragon, which unfortunately it looked like opened up with a whirlwind that hit both party members, a little bit unlucky there, and TacoMage is making sure that he will not die by casting that Life 3. And you can see Life 3 coming into use right now, and now you're just sort of hoping you get one more action before Storm Dragon does.
Oh gosh, this is really scary actually. Oh yeah, we're gonna see a Thunder Shield come out, Storm Dragon being weak to Bolt. So yeah, this is probably a good time to use it, except for it doesn't go down.
Luckily, we got a shield block there, so we got one more action here. Gonna hope that a Fire 3 kills it. Dragons are not their vanilla they're not their vanilla HP, thankfully. They're generally quite a bit weaker than their vanilla counterparts in Worlds Collide, just to facilitate that EXP gain. It is a flag that you can turn off, and you can just have vanilla dragons, and that can be a rude awakening for some when you take 2,000 AoE damage right at the opening salvo. So, can be a little bit surprising on certain seeds. But luckily does get through that Storm Dragon, does survive, is going to continue their climb through the tower. And more defense, no offense.
Yeah, that is definitely not what he was looking for, I can imagine.
Luckily, we do know that we can at least make use of that Behemoth suit. Realm being a vanilla wearer of the Behemoth suit, we at least have one party member that can take advantage of it, if not more.
Yeah, that's always the unfortunate thing, is whenever you get a really nice item and nobody can use it.
Valiant Knife says what?
I feel like this is speaking from experience.
I think everyone has that experience who's played this game for a while.
Yeah, it is definitely insulting.
We do see the one character that I know at least one person was hoping to see for the seed. Unfortunately, not in our party. Just here at the Inferno spot. Everyone gets to see it. It's you, Mario. You are hoping to do enough damage before we start seeing a green cherry pop out, which is just a waste of time. We will see if TacoMage is able to skip the green cherry, and we'll also see at the same time if Fitz is able to skip the green cherry.
Well, Fitz got that good boy proc, and also this Illumina going off and procking is definitely going to help. There it is.
Yep, and we're going to see, Fitz started this fight a little bit later than TacoMage, but is getting out of this fight quite a bit sooner, and we can see sort of what the time waste is of seeing the green cherry text. It always feels a little bit back to you always feel like you're one swing away when you get that green cherry.
Oh, now we got a leap. Oh no.
So in the spirit of more time wasting, now we get to wait for Umaru to come back down to Earth. Maybe is more aggressive because Terra is wearing a Mughal costume. But it's actually attacking Shadow instead. I
know. Well, maybe that Mughal costume saved her. He's not gonna hit his buddy, right?
Empirical evidence says otherwise.
Okay, well, we tried.
Well, I believe it's broken in the vanilla game, but the way it was supposed to work is that when Umaru was gonna throw Mog, it was supposed to be an auto crit or something like that.
Really?
I feel like I read that somewhere in the Worlds Collide Discord, that it's just sort of a broken algorithm.
It's a neat little bit of flavoring there. Okay, so while we're climbing this tower, this is a good time to put it in. You mentioned like different flag sets with the dragons, and we've kind of talked about flag sets throughout all of that. One of the really cool things about Worlds Collide is there are so many ways to change it. There are so many different flag sets. You can pretty much make this game within reason, within its code, however you want. And that is such a cool thing about this randomizer.
Oh, agreed. And of course, for those of you who like chaos, you can have it so that you don't even choose your flags or see your flags. And you can have yourself as wonderful or as terrible of a time as you want.
In fact, maybe
Speaking, but back to the Ultros League.
Oh, we have our
finally
mascot.
we finally see our first instance of the mascot Ultros himself, and all of his 8 tentacle glory in the basically moving from the Opera House to the Guardian spot. Who knows? Maybe this is the mythical for Ultros Kefka Tower.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing, and I would want a clip of the whole thing.
Oh, we're
There's 2!
so we've gotten from Ultros 2 to Ultros 4. Unfortunately, we do not get EXP from this fight. Attacking Chupon enough to get the sneeze. Chupon is weak to ice. But yeah, you don't get any EXP for your treble, but we do see 2 of them. We just need 2 more. We're missing 1 and 3.
Oh.
We did have a one of our campfire seeds actually had 3 of 4 Chupons in the floating continent recently.
Yes,
That was
we
exciting.
did. Yes. Alright, so TacoMage is gonna get his 2 Ultros fights. Do a little bit of last minute maintenance on this party now that Fitz has gotten through all of the middle lane fights. So now we just get to see right and left lane to see if we get Ultros 1 and 3.
It would be a beautiful seed if we did.
Best seed ever.
Well, other than the required Zone Eater, but I can accept a required Zone Eater if we just get 4 Ultros and the statues and Guardian.
You would take it for that?
I would.
Okay.
Here we
Alright,
go.
moment of truth.
Doom is being played by...
Aww.
Well, we have plenty of ways to deal with this. We have actually a Raiden cast. We can also cast Break or X-Zone. Any other way. I mean, it's leader.
Yeah. Nothing really to be scary of, although his counterattacks can be pretty deadly at this level.
Yeah, you never really want to take an axe to a face at the end game.
No.
But, you know, nothing to write home about there. One more down, one left to go. Will we at least see 75% Ultros?
I don't know, it's lost its luster now.
It really has. I
Now
kind
I'm
of hoping
like
it's
Ben
Ultra.
has it.
I want to see Ultros 3, and I want to see a sketch come out.
Ooh. I'm just a stupid octopus. It's the Crane brothers.
Unfortunate. So the left crane is absorbing bolt, and the right crane absorbs fire. That's really all you need to know. This is a World of Balance boss, so the HP scaling is generally pretty low. We're going to see a Bahamut come out, making lots of use about that Esper. The right crane has a little bit more HP than the left crane. This by a slight amount.
I can imagine the second Bahamut cast is probably going to take care of him, though. Nope, not quite. Like
But
you
of
said,
course-
that's a little bit extra XP.
And now Fitz has defeated all 3 statues and is coming up to the capstone of the Ultros League seed or any flag set. Is going to be stepping on these switches and is going to be ascending the final tower. Would you like to explain what we are about to see?
We are about to see the final Kefka fight in all of its glory. It involves 4 tiers. The first tier is going to be 3 different parts. It's going to be head, it's going to be long arm, and it's going to be short arm. The head is weak to fire. The long arm can be instant death, much like TacoMage just did to leader over there. and the short arm just really hits hard. There is kind of an order of operations. You generally want to take head out first so that it's not death counter with Quake if it's the last one alive. Along with long arm, it will counter with 1 to 3 shockwaves. It is if it is the last one left alive. So generally, we try to kill those two off first and then go after short arm. Now, just like in the vanilla game, Fitz and TacoMage are probably going to set the first 4 characters of their party. And if any character is lost in between tiers, or zombied, or petrified, that character is going to be gone. So we're really going to hope that we don't get knocked out by counters, or any kind of nasty status effect that could really wreck our day. However, we do have life 3, so that's going to help.
Yeah, we do see Drinks Glue posting a 1050 in chat. That is his guess for the time in which it's going to take to go from the start of Kefka's Tower, well, not Kefka's Tower, but the climb, when you hear that bell go off, all the way to the final swing, the crack boom at the end of the game against the clown himself. It's going to be interesting. We do not have Mute, we do not have Siren, so we're going to see Tier 2 in all of its glory, especially if we can't get some instant deaths off. We don't have the greatest offense, although it looks quite good right now on Fitz's side, actually. It's going better, or it's getting higher damage numbers than I was expecting. But yeah, you just gotta deal with the damage, gotta spend your resources, do things that are more optimal than not, easier said than done. We do get a Haste 2 coming out from Fitz. Haste is never a bad status effect. It is less broken in this game than it is, say, in its predecessor in Final Fantasy V, but it is always advantageous to take more actions compared to your opponent. We never did talk about weight tricking. We don't really need to go into that, but basically being in the menu while animations are casting is better because you take more turns relative to the opponent. Is a very short and sweet version of that.
What we did see, though, on Fitz's side is some great action economy. We kind of touched on a little bit before, is only attacking with those that are actually going to do something. So attacking with Shadow, those Fire 3s with Terra and Realm and all that. But also, since Shadow has that Illumina and has the most defense, getting that last attack with him, he's able to take that counter probably a lot better than anybody else in that party.
And we do see we're in Tier 2 now, so we have Magic all the way in the far left, Tools in the middle, Hit in the right, and then Tiger Face on the bottom right. Tools can be instant death by Raiden. We're going to see that come out. Can also be X-Zone. Cannot be broken. Unfortunately, Raiden does miss, and we can only cast each Esper once in battle. Magic can be muted if we had a way to mute. Tiger is weak to ice. And Hit will just hit a lot. The scariest of the 4 parts is probably Tiger Face, just from North Cross, Southern Cross, also Doom Tusk when he gets at lower HP. Tools can be pretty nasty too if you can't get the instant kill off. Unfortunately, very tragic news from Fitz. Muddle is a scary, scary, scary spell. Unfortunately, X-Zone hitting 3 of 4 characters and then getting finished off their Shadow at the end is taking a reset. This is a reminder that your final fights are never free. And especially if you can't meet Magic. So, unfortunate. Is going to have to go again. Let's hope for a little bit better luck. Meanwhile, TacoMage is on their climb, is looking to finish up Tier 1 shortly.
I think I was actually speechless over that. I saw that X-Zone coming out, and I thought, oh, hopefully the X-Zone will take out Tools, not realizing that it was the muddled character that did it. I was so shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, it's, this game does operate in a queue system, right, as well, and this is similar to most Final Fantasy games. If you get confused when you have the command already inputted, it will do that command. So, in this case, if you have X-Zone queued up, and that X-Zone character gets confused before it casts X-Zone, you're going to see an X-Zone come out, and it's going to be targeting you. This is actually, one of those things that's abused in vanilla speedruns as well, if you want to Joker Doom everything, or reverse Joker Doom. So, it's very much a mechanic that is used and well known. It's not one you want to see in Worlds Collide. We do turn off reverse Joker Doom. We do not, at the very least, we do not allow that in our in most races. If you manage to be able to get a manipulation for that, but you really don't want to see an X-Zone on your own characters. But we'll see if that Illumina will help him catch up. I expect.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. This is now going to really show off the difference in offense between the two racers now.
Yeah, I mean, we are just seeing an attack from, I believe, Terra only doing 968 damage, which is quite a bit lower. Just the characters that are doing these spells, like Sabin casting magic, is just very poor damage comparatively. Yes, it is very much possible, but it is slow. Something we really didn't talk about now that we're both on tier 1 right now. Characters do basically get randomized stats, but they are based on their vanilla stats. So someone like Rome, who is a vanilla mage and generally has a very high magic power, in fact the highest magic power in the vanilla game, will randomize to really high magic stats. Sabin, who doesn't have the greatest magic stat, or even Shadow, will generally have pretty poor magic, and that's not really going to change. So characters will still do what they do best in vanilla, so you get a little bit of familiarity there, but we do see near simultaneous transitions into tier 2, and I expect we're going to see the difference of that Illumina and just a little bit more magic, or a little bit both magic and physical offense.
Wow, this has become quite a race right here at the end. I mean, it was a great race throughout all of it, but now we are literally neck and neck.
Can't ask for anything more. Well, okay, some people can ask for more, but from a viewer standpoint, you can't.
I'm sure Glue is asking for a Yeti.
We saw the Yeti. We all saw the Yeti. Every racer saw the Yeti.
Playable Yeti. Airship pilot Yeti.
Well, you can't have everything.
Oh, I guess that's true.
But yeah, we haven't even talked about this. The Ultros League 8, we sort of introduced it, and of course it is the flag set that people are playing. But the season does start April 12th, so basically the Saturday after next. Signups generally have opened up. I believe they've been open for a couple of weeks now. So if you are interested in signing up, playing some Worlds Collide, make sure to join our Discord. You can go to also ultrasleague.com and sign up there as well. We'd love to have you around. We would like to not see Terra be muddled. Fitz is not having fun with the muddle, whereas TacoMage got the block on the muddle.
Well, and actually that North Cross actually worked in Fitz's favor by freezing Terra.
Gotta look on the bright side, right?
I mean, silver lining right there.
Love it. We are gonna unfreeze Terra. We're gonna hope that Terra, gets knocked out of Confuse. And Go-Go, for his sin of firing everybody, is currently taking a nap. Got a nice life, too. But yeah, this is just an example of why Mute is such a huge spell at the end game here. Being able to basically take out magic to just ignore for this entire fight or this entire tier is so huge.
I have actually come to the realization that I think I would prefer to have Mute than Calmness Protection if I had to choose between the two.
in most cases agree with that actually. I think calmness protection, the one advantage to not having calmness protection is that you don't have to worry about setting up calmness protection. And it is often the time where there are certain seeds or certain setups where you want the calmness protection. Sometimes you can get away with just using life 3 on one character. We do have life 3, but we also have Golem. But when you have calmness protection, you're always thinking to yourself, how do I set this up accurately? How do I do this in the most optimal way? And sometimes you just don't need it. Not because you can afford the character, or not because the characters won't die to calmness, which is an instant death attack, but just because you have enough power otherwise that if 2 people go down, it isn't going to make your final Kafka that much slower. So, it's an interesting aspect to racing this game, I feel. When do you really need calmness protection versus not?
Yeah, and sometimes the seed just doesn't give it, so you just have to go anyway and not worry about it. This has been a really nasty tier 2 on both sides.
Oh yeah, it is showcasing its full abilities. I mean, we didn't see a Doom Tusk, but we've seen basically everything else. Not sure if Magic is finally down on Fitz's side or not. We are starting to see those counters. So when Magic gets to about 10,000 HP left, there is a chance Magic will counter with at least 1/4 and 2, or up to 1/4 spell and 2 dispels, which go on the same character, which kind of seems superfluous, but I wasn't the one who coded this game.
I mean, I've heard it's spaghetti code anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But it looks like, yeah, that Magic is down, so Fitz just has hit left, is going to finish this tier off with 10 hits, which is what it says. It will hit 10 times physically. Generally the least threatening of the 2 counters that you get here. So Fitz is just sort of taking off shields. I'm guessing or is swapping around shields, honestly. Not entirely sure. Maybe preparing for shield breaking in tier 3. Just to get through sleep a little bit faster. But we'll find out. Meanwhile, TacoMage is slowly chipping away at hit here as well. Does see that 10 hits. I believe at the same time Fitz is seeing that 10 hits. I do not... is that the last part for TacoMage too? Are we about to see simultaneous?
Well, maybe. I didn't think that he had gotten Magic down, but maybe he has.
No. Okay.
No.
Still has Magic down. Or Magic alive. You never want to see both Magic and Hit go down at the same time, because that's just opening up for getting a quarter right into 10 hits, which is a great way to end up taking a lot more deaths than you were planning to. So generally worthwhile to only take 1 out at the time. Magic does have a little bit more HP than Hit, though. Meanwhile, we got Tier 3. Do you want to explain Tier 3?
Absolutely. Tier 3 has 2 parts. It's got Girl in the back, and it's got Sleep in the front. Girl will absorb all elements, so you definitely want to take her out with either non-elemental spells like Flare or Meteor, or just physical attacks. She's only got 10,000 or 9,999 HP. You definitely want to take her out first, because she can life to Sleep if you happen to kill him first. And then with Sleep, he has 40,000 HP. Once you get him down, what is it? After you do 27, 28-ish thousand
about
damage?
29,300 or something like that.
Yeah, I knew it was right in that area. I don't know the exact amount. Anyway, he will start countering with 2 very nasty spells, either Train or Meteo. Meteo is a low accuracy attack that'll hit all of your characters but do quite a bit of damage. And then Train doesn't do any damage, but it will mute and blind all your characters. Now, assuming that you can get past that point, Sleep will death counter with his move called Calmness, something that we've mentioned before. So you definitely want to have your Golem up, or your Fenrir, or Life 3, something that will prevent your character from being instant killed by that physical attack. Because, once again, once you move forward in a tier, you're going to lose any character that is killed.
Yeah, the Life 3 cast currently on Magic on TacoMage's side, sort of saving that Sabin, taking a quad quarter counter and then doing enough damage to kill Magic, but Life 3 reviving Magic with a few thousand HP is getting a chance to heal back up. We do see that train coming out from Sleep. It is worthwhile right now that Sleep can now just basically counter every single attack, and will also spam Meteor and or Train basically on his own turns. Fitz deciding, I'm not even going to try to recover this. Let's break his shield and get through this. Wasn't even able to get Golem up. Both Terra and Realm going down, as being left with just a Shadow and Go-Go. We're going to see those other two reserve characters come out on Edgar and Sabin. Meanwhile, TacoMage going up to tier 3. How is Fitz going to navigate this final Kefka? 62,000 HP, needs to get 32,000 pretty quickly if you want to avoid Fallen One. I don't think that's happening. We're going to see a Fallen One come out. All those HPs are going to go down to a nice digit of 1. And then we're going to have to do, again, 32,000 damage. Kefka will start countering with things like Havoc Wing. We're going to get... Certainly Goner's coming out here. We probably do not have the offense to skip Goner. We're going to have to navigate this fight pretty carefully, I would say.
Yeah,
of course.
So... I mean, the nice thing about that Illumina is it's always going to hit even though Shadow is blinded. So he didn't have to worry about that. However, I think Fitz broke a lot of his shields on T3 and or lost a lot of his shields because of his two characters being down. This is going to be a slog.
Yeah, and this is not going to be... You're going to see... Well, luckily we have Cure 3, which may help. But we're going to see, at the very least, one Goner, if we even get to Goner, because Kefka is going to start doing his pretty big attacks pretty, quickly here, because we're not even going to be able to skip that with the damage we're doing unless we get a couple of procs. And then we're going to, like I said, we're going to see at least one Goner, if not multiple. We're going to rely on Interceptor here, the best dog in the game, to help Shadow out. But yeah, this is something you have to be very careful with, because if you're not counting your damage correctly, we may see Ultima at the end, and that may be GG's back to the beginning, but we do see some nice blocks from Shadow.
Ooh, and we're seeing some sketch strats. I love this. So if you sketch Final Kefka, he will either Havoc Wing himself or Ultima himself. And chat pointing out, Jazer pointing out that Shadow is out of MP, so this is actually not a bad way to go.
No, and we can Mimic that as well. Unfortunately, Mimic showing that it is just resketching and not using the same command, which is an interesting observation. I didn't realize it would change what the sketch was as well. But yeah, being out of MP for Shadow is unfortunate, because that would mean that we don't get those procs from the Illumina, the auto crits, I should say. You still can get the procs, but losing half your damage is never great. We see TacoMage dealing with tier 3, Rum going down to a Kadem. You can see that this fight is a slog for both racers. But we're going to see if we can get lucky enough with enough Ultimas to get our way through Final Kefka.
I'm just hoping we don't actually get an Ultima counter of our own.
No, we're gonna see the Goner. We get to see the screen start shaking. What's this? Ultima our way to victory? 50% chance. Ultima every time. Let's go. And we do see the wonderful use of weight tricking here, just to get more actions in before Kefka gets his turn. Without that, we would have... this fight would be a lot more dangerous, and it's already dangerous enough. But we
And
do
that
see
is-
that correct POW.
GG's.
Lots of blue bubbles on his way to victory. OneFreeFitz. Get your GGs in chat. With a time of 1:31:03. Taking his revenge on TacoMage for Ultros League 7. Of course, we got Tier 3 action going on TacoMage's side, getting into that critical range for HP, is seeing the trains, is seeing the meteors, is seeing that condemn on Satan. You can see this is not terribly great position to be in. You can use a Revivify to heal 5,000 HP to get sleep out of this critical range here. But oftentimes, if you don't have the offense to skip through it, it kind of feels bad to do so. So TacoMage basically hoping to get some dodges here and just get out of this phase.
Oh, this final Kefka has just been nasty. And hello, OneFreeFitz. GG's.
Woo! Yeah, GG's.
That was nasty.
Speaking of nastiness, we did see double calmness come out from TacoMage. A 1 in 9 chance, or I forget what the chance is for double calmness. 1 in 3, I think, for a second one. So unfortunate is going to basically have the same situation you did, Fitz. Have 2 characters into the final fight from the main party. How did take me through that sort of seed between, you know, the start, where were you going, what were you thinking in terms of how do you want to start the seed, all the way to realizing where your 5th character was. Both of you coming to that realization basically at the same time that yes, you had to go to Zone Eater in the seed. To how do you want to end the seed, especially with sort of the limited offense and defense and skills that the game was providing you. You know, in this case for you, going down the middle tower, taking one more fight at that Atma spot, which is a bit unconventional when you're not trying to chase skip, to what is probably one of the more interesting final Kefka fights I have seen, where it's just like, please sketch Ultima.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Like, there were some rods that I could buy. That was like the only thing I really had going, because the commands were so bad. And then I couldn't find any Espers that taught any good spells, so it was like, alright, well, we're gonna do this the hard way. And then, I guess Fire 3 was really the only big, and Bahamut saved my bud, I guess. That was big. So yeah, there was really no power. I tried to go to the Coliseum. There was nothing really there. Finally got an Illumina. So that was cool. And then I felt like I had to have Fire 3 on Terra in order to clear the statues. That's why I dipped in, because I was like, well, where can I get the fastest amount of maybe magic points? And I figured if I ran the middle and the boss didn't give MP, I could do the dragon and then warp out. So that was kind of the logic for that. And then I X-zoned my own party, so that was cool. And then immediately got Flare starred, and I was like, I lost that first shot. I was like, I was for sure lost it, but we're gonna try again anyway, because there's no done yet. And then I ran out of MP, and I was like, oh shoot, well, what now? And I had the sketch and I had the mimic, so I was like, we're gonna do this. And it worked. I was pretty proud of that final Kefka, just particularly tier 4, because I feel like I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel of the bag of tricks to get through that one.
Yeah, and TacoMage trying to do that as well. Unfortunately, not getting quite the same turn economy or the great Ultima luck you had. But did take a valiant attempt in final Kefka, also using the sketch strats at the end there. Didn't pick up the Illumina that you got as well from Zen Thief. But again, valiant showing, did take the forfeit. No shame in that. This was a rough climb for sure. And we'll also see if we can get him in here. But yeah, no, this was a treat to watch. You don't generally see a lot of Ultros League seeds that are on the rougher end in terms of offense like this one was. And I learned something today watching that final Kefka. I had thought that Sketch, like a lot of commands with Mimic, would have mimicked the actual command itself. So, like, I thought if you would Sketch Kefka and get Ultima and then mimic that with Go-Go, it would have also cast Ultima. And so I learned that no, that's not the case. It actually just re-sketches and you still have that 50% chance.
Yeah, and then when I saw that Havoc Wing miss, I was like, oh shoot, Go-Go is dark and muted. I need to. So I had to take time. I needed to fix that in order to get the hope of getting an Ultima out of Go-Go. Yeah, like these are on the rare side in terms of just not having a lot of tools. I love it when we get a seed like this during the season because I can usually muddle my way through and get a pretty good finish. But yeah, it was a it was a showcase of the lesser used, lesser appreciated stuff, I think. So that was nice.
Yeah, I know we appreciated the Esper usage throughout once you got that Bahamut from Hauser's Mansion. Because we were discussing that. It's like, oh, this is one of those Espers that people will use, and we hope we see it, so we were very happy to see that being used. We are also joined by TacoMage GG's.
GG's.
Man, that offense, right?
Yeah, or lack thereof.
Yeah, and we're in crate paper most of the seed as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was going to right at the end go and grab those economizers before I jumped into KT and completely forgot. And right as I'm walking up through the last statues, I'm like, well, I guess we're doing this without.
Yeah, I will say that what for both of you showcased exactly why Mute is a wonderful spell for Tier 2. Unfortunately, both of you decided to showcase exactly why.
Yeah, honestly, Tier 2 wasn't as misbehaved as it could be for me. It was just long. Tier 3 was way less behaved.
It was nasty to both of you.
Yeah.
I think it hit Fitz a little bit harder, but that was
Well,
Final Kefka was not nice.
Yeah, I lost Realm on Tier 3, which pretty much doomed me. I knew that my end game was going to be Sketch and Kefka, but I was hoping I would have her for support, because she was the only one with MP left. Although Go-Go coming off the bench wasn't too bad, but yeah, that her going down was pretty much the nail in the coffin for my attempt.
Now, I got one question to ask both of you from the Kefka stand or the Kefka Tower standpoint, because I just want to ask it. You both went center tower in terms of going your pathway for you took out in the Guardian spot and the Poltergeist spot. At that point, Dwyer and I were very much excited. We were hoping for the quad Ultros Kefka Tower. Were either of you hoping for that? To kick off our Ultros League 8 restreams.
I absolutely was, and actually that's a fun callback. In my very first Ultros League in Tonic Division, our final seed of the season was actually an all Ultros in the towers, or in the statue spot and Guardian.
And little did you know that was going to catapult your way up to Mega Elixir next season.
Yeah, in fact,
coming soon.
Fitz and I played mini seeds exactly like this last season in Elixir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I almost forgot. I was like, this felt familiar, and I was like, why is this so familiar?
That was such Elixir A energy.
It really was. We were talking about that before.
The cursed Elixir A.
But no, so we were talking to Fitz as well. Sort of take us through how you felt through the seed, especially with that lack of power, the starting commands and all the way to where unfortunately your fifth character had to be. Unfortunate for all of us.
Yeah, and it starting with those skills, it was a Runic and Sketch, and it didn't get any better. I don't think it ever got any better. I think the best thing in the seed was probably Terra, maybe Natural Magic Edgar might have been useful, but oof, that was rough. Spent the entire seed hoping to find something to swing, and that wasn't there either. So, I mean, it was really, try to get through the next check. I was using all my resources, dropping every rod I could get my hands on. I almost went back for more when I had some cash together, but I decided with Fire 3 I could probably squeak through. Like I said, I really wanted to get those economizers for KT because I knew I was going to be in trouble with MP if I didn't get it, and of course I forgot and went right to the tower. So I mean, that was going to be the end game, was Fire 3 with economizers.
So I had to step away to check whether Fiery, did you happen to tell him where the big stick was?
I have not.
Okay. So Fitz went back after Floating Continent after getting all that money from the Ursus fights, and it was an Illumina at Zen Thief.
Oh yeah, that I thought about doing that when I knew I was close when I peeked it and rolled a ruin and saw it was 40k, and I was like, that might be worth it. I even considered the play of checking it and then resetting out if it wasn't anything good, but I was kind of like, well, it's probably nothing. It's got a 1 in 20 chance of being something, so I was like, it's probably nothing, and just skipped it.
Or even better, it would have been something like, it would have been the Illumina or Ragnarok and no one would be able to equip it, and then you're just sad anyways.
Yeah, I mean, at the point that I peeked it, I had nobody who could natively swing the big swords, so those didn't come in until right near the end, and I was kind of, even though for what it was, that was kind of, my team was set at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a great showcase to some of the harder Ultros League seeds, and even though there were struggles abound, even though you unfortunately had to have that final Kefka wipe, there was definitely a lot of skill on display on how to handle some of the worst starts you can possibly get in Worlds Collide in terms of power. And I think towards the beginning of the broadcast, we were talking about how your big two time differentials are going to be, how do you start a seed and how do you end the seed? And a lot of emphasis does need to go into that early game, I think, as you climb the tiers of Ultros League 8. Of course, you know that going into Mega Elixir this season. So how are you feeling about that?
Terrified, and also way above my pay grade. Most of the people in Mega Elixir have averages that are better than my personal best, so it's going to be an interesting season for me. But I'm going to try to at least not make it free for everybody else.
Absolutely. No, I mean, everyone has a chance, right?
Oh yeah,
Even
I mean, it was we've seen some pretty big upsets in the past, so it's never free. But Mega Elixir is incredibly strong, and again, I am nervous, but I'm not gonna not give it a try. So I'll be in there fighting for it.
So what you do is you take all the experience that you have from the Living Seed that you run, which, by the way, if anyone watching wants to play some very unique flag sets, again, join our Discord, take place in the Living Seed or other side events that we have going on the Discord, and you can learn some very esoteric knowledge that can transfer over to your Ultros League seeds as well. So take that experience, some very niche strats, and just use those to blow away your opponents.
But I will say that after playing certain really wild flag sets, it'll start making Ultros League feel pretty easy, and that's always good for the mental health. Just being like, oh, okay, this is just Ultros League. I don't have to worry about anything strange coming at me, and that makes you feel comfortable.
I believe you are almost, we're at the end of the Living Seed season, right?
Yep, that is true. The final Living Seed will actually be rolling, or the final seed of the season will be rolling next week, and then we'll be starting Living Seed Season 13 on April 13th to coincide with the start of Ultros League 8.
Yeah, absolutely. So wonderful time to get involved with that. If you want to choose some flags for other racers to play, no better way to do that on the Worlds Collide Discord.
Absolutely,
And
we are new player friendly, and again, it's a very casual experience. We're there to help and play around and mess with the seeds more than we are to race each other. But we do race each other too, so good time all around.
which is a nice segue, you bringing up beginners into what I was going to ask you. Speaking of that esoteric knowledge that you have and game knowledge, you are a mentor in our Moogle Cup right now. So you have a lot of experience working with newer players. What would you say to anybody out there that was wanting to maybe, dip their toe into the Worlds Collide pond as it is?
First off, do it. Second off, hit our website, but more importantly, join our Discord. We will fall all over each other to be helpful. If there's not a Moogle Cup about to start or going on, you can always just pair up with a mentor for some one-on-one outside of Moogle Cup. There's always people there willing to do one-on-ones, or more than happy to, do VOD reviews. Like if you did a run and you want to know, hey, what did I do well? What did I do wrong? You had something that went off the rails and want to know, like, what made it go off the rails. The vets are always around to help out, and that's really the thing, is that we want people to succeed. We want to see more people in Ultros League in all the events. So there's never not a good time to join, but with Ultros League starting up right now, it's actually a great time to join now, because you can get into Tonic Division, which will pair you with other newer players as well, and you can learn from each other, and then you can also kind of learn on the job, as it were. So it's never a bad time, but now is actually a great time.
Very well said. I like that answer.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. But yeah, I think, do I have any last questions for TacoMage, or?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything that I would have asked. Just again, GG's. Thanks again for racing, and hopefully you don't get a lot of seeds like this coming up.
Well, I'm not an Elixir A this season, so that's something.
Fair enough.
Oh no, I might be though. Don't worry, I think it was we can struggle through those seeds. It'll be great. Give us all left side Magi Masters. We'll just combine all the misery of Elixir seeds into one giant pile.
Yeah, and I will say, for anybody who's playing a bad seed in a race, just remember you're not the only one playing that seed. And that's what I was thinking the entire time is, well, at least I know Fitz is doing this too.
Yep.
For sure. That's what I have to remind myself in every tonic seed that I play. Somebody else is doing this too.
But yeah, with that, I think we will let you go, TacoMage. Thank you again for showcasing Ultros League 8, again, starting April 12th. Sign-ups are currently open. They generally also run the first couple weeks of Ultros League, so if you're a late joiner, that's not a problem. Rules are on our Discord and on the Ultros League site. Definitely always welcoming new players and old players. It is a wonderful time. It is a great way to play Worlds Collide and hang out with a whole bunch of people as well. You will see plenty of restreams, both of the Moogle Cup, as we talked about before, and the Ultros League when it's in season as well. So keep an eye out on that, both on RPG Limit Break. I believe we also do speed gaming, and we also have FS6 Worlds Collide, the Twitch channel, and the YouTube channel where all the content is posted as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Any final words, Dwyer, my wonderful commentator?
No, just it's been a pleasure being in the booth with you. Really had a lot of fun, really enjoyed the race, and looking forward to UL8. And and thanks to Glue for restreaming and tracking for us and keeping us honest and just being a wonderful host.
Absolutely. Could not do this without our tracker / restreamer Drinks Glue setting this all up behind the scenes. I know how hard that is to get set up, so definitely a huge thank you to you. I will have Yeti climb Final Kefka once this week just for you. That is my promise. Look forward to that. Also, I will mention for Ultros League 8, there is also a spreadsheet of 20 seeds that anyone can play and post their time using a form and compare yourself to other racers based on their divisions as well, based on UL7 results. So if you are interested in some asynchronous competition, we have the Ultras Underground on Discord. We also have that Narsh Battle Academy sheet. There are plenty of submissions right now. We would look forward to having more submissions. If you are interested in doing that sort of asynchronous racing or comparing your seed play with someone else. So again, you can find that all on our Discord. With that, I've been Fiery Blizzard. I've been joined by Dwight. Drinks Glue, do you have anywhere to send us?
Nope, no raid. That will do us for the night.
All right.
All right. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful night, and thank you again for letting us showcase one of our passions.
Have a good one.